This is the story of Min Hai, who was a loser whose luck was pumped to the max. In the last part of the story, he was hit by a comet and was in a coma for a year, then awakened by terrible monsters, from which Min Hai successfully saved a nurse. Later, he went to the place where there were the most creatures, where he learned that the main villain of the story was a mad doctor who planned to destroy humanity with new powers. Min Hai, although not without difficulty, managed to defeat the bastard, angry at the whole world. After the general said that the comet that hit the guy was a rank 9 disaster that could destroy all of humanity, the hero went to the world of perfection to ask the deity about it. Before we start the second part, I'd like to ask you to give me a like. Once this video gets 500 likes, I'll start making the continuation of this story, so get your popcorn ready. Here we go. The beautiful maiden came down to the hero with the words that he was looking at her too arrogantly because she was at least a level 11 disaster. Min Hai asked if the doctor's words about the maiden coming to destroy all of humanity were true. With a stern look, the beautiful lady explained that humans were too greedy and this made the universe uncomfortable. Now the guy had less reason to let the girl live. She was incredibly angry because it was the girl who gave Min Hai the ability. She said that even when the guy was in a coma, she let him in to train. But Min Hai reminded him that they live in a symbiosis, and if he dies, she dies. The girl with the haughty look started to say that it was an accident that a goddess like her ended up in the body of such a weakling. The guy pointed out an interesting thing, that the goddess's instinct was not to kill, but to survive, because she had entered his body to survive. The girl began to vehemently prove that her life is much more important than the life of all creatures, because in human language she can be called a goddess. She also began to say that among all the people on the planet, it was almost impossible to find a suitable one, so the hero needed a year to get used to his ability. With a haughty look, the goddess said that they will live in peace in the future, and the hero reminded her that she has the same instincts to survive as humans. And the hero explained that the girl also does not know what the universe looks like and only carries out orders from who knows who. The girl seemed interested, and the hero continued, promising to show her not only the dark, but also the light side of the human world. The goddess slapped back Min Hai's hand, saying that he still had a lot of development to do. She immediately started to create a strong opponent for training, but the guy did not want it at all, as he was very tired. Min Hai started to fall asleep a little, because even in this place, overworking was not an option. After he woke up in the real world, he thought about the fact that the goddess was a high-ranking disaster. He realized that his body contained a very dangerous atomic bomb that could explode at any moment. Min Hai decided to deal with the proud goddess inside him first. At that time, the street was crowded with a large number of journalists who immediately went to Min Hai with questions. This behavior of the journalists embarrassed the protagonist because they did not even give him a chance to pass. The guy calmed down and closed his eyes, but when he opened them, he was completely cold and told the people that he was going to protect the people around him and leave the destruction of monsters to other organizations. At that time, the girl was listening to Min Hai's speech on TV, and the other guys were watching and praising the guy for his great speech. At that time, the fat man was at the cemetery, crying at the grave of one of his comrades, and he said the words of a hero, that everyone who participated in the fight for the city was a hero. Min Hai chased away the reporters and tried to hide from the public for fear of being caught in the act. The soul of the hero was heroic because he was now rich and could afford to pamper his favorite sister. Min Hai came to the place where his sister worked and greeted her. Min Hai offered to go for a walk because he had received the money, but the girl could not leave until she sold all the ice cream. The boy decided to help his sister sell ice cream, but she said that Min Hai should study for his exams. The sister told him that a hero had appeared who had saved the city, and she told him to follow his example. Had she known that this beloved hero was Min Hai, she would have helped him. The guy started shouting about selling lots of delicious ice cream while being watched by a superhuman girl who called him a big baby, because now the guy could bask in the glory. Min Hai continued to attract people, but he received a phone call from Liu Ling, who asked him if he had decided to join their organization, to which he said that his sister was working very hard so that he could study, so Min Hai decided to enroll in school, after which he could join their squad. The girl began to recommend an organization with no restrictions and good pay, but she also reminded him that the choice was still Min-hai's. The guy simply replied that he would work for humanity in case of an emergency, so he could be contacted. The protagonist was now officially a member of the Dragon Claw Squad. After the conversation ended, Min was approached by his sister, who was happy that they had already managed to sell everything. The guy pleased the girl with the good news and the fact that he now had a high salary. They were excited and decided to go to the fair. There they had fun, ate, bought a new outfit for his sister. The guy behaved like a real gentleman. They talked on the balcony. Now they live in a house and the brother promised to buy it soon. The girl told Min that if he saw the fairy tale hero, he should thank him for her. The girl said that the boy was obliged to thank the hero because he had risked his life for her. She told what she knew, that the man was covered in blood, but he continued to fight. She described today and said that none of this would have happened if it wasn't for this hero. Ming promised to thank the hero, even though he was the hero. But a little later, he thought in his heart that there was nothing to thank him for, because people were worth risking their lives for. After these events, the guy seriously took up training. He pumped strength, stamina, and even fist skills became an object for pumping. The guy also spent time to learn theoretical knowledge. Ming also increased his martial arts training in the world of perfection. Although the guy now had excellent martial arts skills, the body simply could not keep up. The hero's enemy was the same doctor, and during the fight with him, the girl helped to deal with the guy's skills. The hero's fist could control wind and fire. The guy could control many powers thanks to his talent. Ming asked if there was a trial version, but the girl upset the guy by saying that he should focus on what he had for now. The guy remembered the moment when he risked to put 49 marks on the doctor, which is the minimum threshold to activate this power. The girl continued to mentor the boy to become stronger. After a month of hard training, Ming finally went to the training ground. At that time, the park in the southern city of Bingshan was covered in a blood-red fog. The police decided not to check this strange place because of the cold weather. So they started to go back. But there was one strange thing, and that was that they couldn't get out of the place. They didn't understand how they got to this place because they had to go to the right. Suddenly there was horror on the face of one of the policemen because he saw a huge monster spider that started to eat his partner. After seeing this, the man ran for his life. The panting man could finally relax a little because he was in the control room where he was shaking and began to dial a number on the phone. At that time, behind the window was a human silhouette. The man assumed that it was a mistake and said that this place is dangerous. After the creature finished eating, the man fell to the ground. His body was completely emaciated and it looked like only skin and bones were left. This horrible place was completely covered in mist, and behind the monster's back, there was a man hiding in one of the cylinders. At that time, the train Ming was on was already moving, and the man was talking to his sister on the phone, saying he was fine. The other passengers asked for a bottle of water, and the woman asked how long it would take to get to South City. The attendant kindly replied that it would take about an hour and gave them a bottle of water and asked if the woman was taking her daughter to school. They started talking about how Fang Nai was the best and was able to get into the superhuman school. The other passengers paid attention to the young student. She seemed to be very talented because it was very difficult to get into that school. One of the boys asked her to write him a blessing because he wanted to go to the same school and save people from monsters. Ming thought that the girl was good because unlike him, who had gotten in without an entrance exam, she had gone all the way through the exams. The train continued its journey when suddenly something happened and the train braked sharply, causing a little panic among the people who were shaken forward. It seemed that now the child of one of the passengers will be injured. But in time, Ming intervened, covering the baby with his hand. The student immediately noticed the man's quick reaction. The other passengers were injured because of the sudden braking. The guy started to check if there was a signal, and there was. One of the guys noticed a window with a very strange silhouette behind it. The guy's mom couldn't believe there was something there, but the guy said there was something very big behind the window. Ming looked calm and looked out of the window where there was nothing at first glance. Suddenly, the staff called out to the passengers that they were having problems, and a voice asked the passengers to stay seated. Ming said that he would go and investigate the situation, The employee stopped the hero, saying that his behavior would cause more problems. Ming introduced himself as a hunter and asked him to tell him the truth. The apprentice volunteered to help Ming because she was also listed as a partially advanced hunter. At that time, the other workers didn't know what to do because they couldn't find the hunters, so the worker brought the hero with the apprentice, saying that they were hunters. The worker was happy and asked the guys their rank, but when they took out something that said their rank, the workers' faces changed because they were incredibly weak in rank. Ming explained that they would be useful in any case. His words seemed true to one of the workers, and he asked the guys to be careful. The hero asked the girl to stay, and when she objected, he replied that she was too weak. In the end, the guy failed to convince the girl, and they went out together, and Ming told the worker to open the door only when told. The guys went to the place where the strange thing happened. The guard said that the hero should not teach the girl because they are about the same age. Ming explained that it was a precautionary measure and learned that there was a strange creature in front of the train that caused the automatic defense system. The guard said that it was not worth worrying about because they were mostly common animals. The group continued its movement while the worker stood at the door, worried about the guys. Suddenly, she saw the silhouette of a girl in the window and immediately went to the door, worried that one of the passengers was outside. She grabbed the handle, but remembered the words of the hero that she should not open the door if there were no guys behind it. After remembering this, the girl let go of the door handle, and behind the employee's back was a man who said to let the girl in who was standing outside. While the clerk was trying to see what kind of person was outside, the fat man began to say that the clerk was acting strangely and that she should open the door because there was a person outside. The employee explained that she had been told by the hunters not to let anyone in and that no one could get off the train because all the doors were blocked. The man began to scream, saying that the worker was heartless for not letting in a person in need. The worker covered the doors with her body and said that they would wait for the hunters. The man started pushing and went straight to the doors, saying that he wanted to open them. The fragile worker tried to stop the fat man, but he easily threw her away, causing the girl to fall. The man opened the door and said with a cunning expression that the girl came in because he has a very good heart. The girl was a terrible monster, which scared the fat man. He had no time to do anything as huge tentacles began to pull him into the mist. He tried to hold onto the door with his last strength, but was still pulled into the bloody mist. The employee saw this horrible scene and immediately stood up, because if she didn't close the door now, all the passengers on the train would be in danger. She got to the door, but as she started to close it, her leg was grabbed by the tentacles. She was terrified, but still she tried to close the door. Finally, the woman realized what was waiting for her, but the look of this seemingly fragile girl was filled with determination. She was able to close the doors of the train with the last of her strength. Saving all the passengers inside, her body began to be sucked in by the monster, and on the face of the worker, there was fear because she realized that she was going to die. At that time, the guys were playing cards and complaining that everything was taking too long. The worker decided to go to the place where the girl was standing. Without noticing anything strange, she noticed that the girl was a slacker because she forgot to close the second door. At that point, the tentacles went to the lock and tried to open it, but failed because the worker had closed the lock. At that time, there were rocks on the tracks that blocked the train. The hero led the way to fix the situation. The guy explained that the ground itself could not block the tracks. The guy went up the grate, while the guard asked the girl for help in clearing the tracks. As soon as Ming climbed up, he noticed the footprints on the ground that screamed that a demon was here. Ming carefully began to look at the footprints left by the demon. He had already imagined the situation in which the incident could happen. The guy seemed worried and immediately took out his phone, then realized that there was a connection. On the other side was a superhuman girl who was worried about Ming. The guy quickly told her that the train had stopped and that there was a problem with the network. He said that once they cleared the track, the train would be able to continue, and the girl was glad because they should leave the place as soon as possible, as there were serious problems. The girl didn't talk about the danger of the fog, but asked them to get the people out as soon as possible. The guy went downstairs. The guard called Ming a bastard for doing all the dirty work in the end, but Ming did not reply because he had more important problems. namely that he had received orders to retreat from here as soon as possible. The boy told briefly about the beast of burden and the fact that there was a small gathering on the mountain. The boy said that they had to leave as soon as possible, and the girl was worried about her mother. The boys started running towards the train, and the guard got caught and fell down. He saw a man on the ground, which turned out to be the desiccated corpse of one of the passengers. The man started screaming in horror, which attracted the attention of the Serluid. They headed in that direction, but Ming noticed the tentacles that tried to attack them, and then he pulled the girl's arm, which saved her from the monster's attack. They found themselves in the enemy's line of sight. It was the same monster girl that was sucking all the life out of the victims' bodies. The guard was terrified at the sight of this monster. At that time, Ming calmed everyone down and told the guys to find shelter as soon as possible. The girl wanted to help the hero. At that time, the monster did not wait and immediately went on the attack. It used its hair to pass the hero at a distance, but the guy was able to dodge easily. The only problem was that the girl did not listen to him and tried to resist the monster. Ming shouted that she should hide, and he will take care of this thing. Because the guy was distracted, he was grabbed by one of the enemy's tentacles. The girl said that the guy is not really stronger than her, so it's not for him to say. Ming was tied up and didn't understand why the monster was doing that. While the enemy was smiling happily, Ming didn't pay attention to the tentacle and attacked. He hit the monster with a powerful punch, after which the monster was thrown far forward. The girl was shocked by Ming's strength, because it wasn't like the punch of an ordinary student. At that time, the enemy was able to survive the attack. The monster was enraged, and her form was transformed. The enemy attacked the hero with a huge number of tentacles, and Ming began to easily repel each of them, while the student watching was completely shocked by such a fight, as she could not even keep track of the blows. The guy managed to get through a series of blows and get close to the enemy. He struck the strongest blow directly at the monster, and then his face froze in surprise, because inside that monster was a girl. This girl turned out to be a train conductor, and the guy didn't think twice about pulling her out of the monster's body. At that time, the girl felt like she was drowning, and the guy immediately checked if the worker was alive. The student said that the monster was running away, and Ming said that it did not matter because now the life of a man was at stake. The girl showed her disgust because the worker was some disgusting liquid. The hero did not think for long and started artificial respiration. He tried with all his might to save the girl. The passengers started to watch. The worker ran out of the train, and it was at that moment that the guy managed to save the worker. Another conductor shouted that the Rabata would quickly get on the train and asked what happened. The worker, although she was without strength, said that she did not let the monster enter. After they were inside, the door was immediately closed. The monster watched, and the train began to move. At that place, a super person heard the report that there was one of the meteorites where no life was found. The girl said that the steam began to spread, and on top of it was called fog. The man said that when the mist disappeared, the monsters associated with it also disappeared. The man said that there were probably monsters in this place right now, and the man said that there was a monster in this town that had destroyed all life. Muechina looked at the footprints left behind, and one of the things looked like an insect shell. So the man decided to investigate the fog, because if he didn't, there would only be more victims. The girl said that if it wasn't for the incident, they wouldn't have found out anything. The man asked about the incident, and she told him how a centipede escaped about 6 months ago, and it turned out that it was hiding in a cave. The man was shocked by this information, and said that the cave was right next to the area. The man realized that if he could catch the insect, they could find out more about what the mist was. After hearing that the centipede might have been changed by the fog, the man's face turned when he saw a huge insect that had devoured an entire pig in an unbelievably short time. The man was shocked by the monster's size. A short time later, the workers in the city thanked Ming for saving them. He said they should praise the girl because she had prevented the monster from entering the train, sacrificing her health in the process. After a while, Ming thought about the fact that he was recently a patient in a similar hospital. He received a call from an unknown number on his phone. He picked up the phone. The voice of the protagonist recognized that it was Lu Qian. She admitted that the guy was right. Ming asked how the girl got his number. The girl said that the number was given to her by Li Long Long. It turns out that the girl knows about the fog, and the guy said that they crossed it. The girl asked where Ming was and said she would look for him right away. The guy said they could meet near the evolution school. After a while, the guy was already in the taxi. He remembered the time he spent with the girl. Even the moment when he asked her out, Ming assumed that the fact that he didn't get an answer could only mean that he was rejected. At that time, Ming's girlfriend talked to a friend who suggested that the letter was just a way to support the guy. She talked about how the girl was being courted by an incredibly large number of guys, and a regular high school senior couldn't be her boyfriend. The girl tried to convince the hero's friend that she didn't need a guy like that, but she said that Ming was a good guy, and she would like to try it out with him. But the friend kept pushing the girl about how pathetic the hero was, and finally she had to back down because the hero's lover was not so easy to change her mind. At that time, Ming had already arrived at the school. Other people were looking at the protagonist's appearance and laughing behind his back. But as soon as they saw Lu Qian, they were all fascinated. The girl really looked great. But to the surprise of the others, she waved to the guy and said hello. The couple started talking about how each of them had changed a lot, and the girl suggested that they go out for coffee. The others were surprised at this outcome. The guy was worried that there was no answer to his confession, but did not dare to ask. They walked, and the hero thought that if they were a couple, they would hold hands, and the girl assumed that the guy wanted to kiss her. They arrived at the place, and the hero said that he had heard that the girl had become a star, but she was modest and didn't want to stand out too much. The girl asked where the guy lived. She was pretty sure they were on a date. The guy said he was looking for a place to live and asked why the girl was blushing. She was talking about helping Ming. The guy still didn't understand what the girl was talking about. The hero told the girl about the incident in the fog and the monster with tentacles that was incredibly strong. They talked and the hero showed his hunter card, and the guy said that this time he would keep his promise to study together. The girl was astonished by the guy's action. At that time, some asshole came to their table. He grabbed the hero's card and started to say that the threshold for entry was higher than Ming's limits. The asshole said that he was ashamed of the fact that they used to be friends. Thank you all for watching this video. I'm glad there are people who watched my video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will keep trying to make good videos. Good luck and all the best. See you next time.